I'm going to tell you a story. Actually, it's a historical event that has been recorded in a book called as Chaitanya Charitamrita. Okay? There was a famous saintly personality. His name, or there is a famous saintly personality. His name is Madhavendra Puri. Okay? About 600 years ago, he had a lot of disciples. Obviously, he is a saint, so he is into spirituality. According to the customs in those times, as a renunciate, he had to travel places. This is one of the protocols of a renunciate from them. So as a sannyasi, he was traveling in the northern part of India. He came to the river Yamuna, and along its banks, he came to the city or the small town of Vrindavan. He was very, very dedicated to the process of bhakti, devotional service. So as a sannyasi, he would practice the limb of bhakti known as Kirtanam and Smaranam. He would chant the holy names of the Lord, like spend a lot of time chanting the holy names of the Lord, and he would meditate upon the various instructions and teachings given in the scriptures. He would constantly introspect on it. So, although he had quite a few disciples, he would spend a lot of time by himself. We are speaking about 700 years ago, so the facility to move around wasn't so great. You did not have a lot of transport facilities. So most of the times, if you have to move around, you did it by walking. So he had traversed, or he had been across a lot of different cities and towns, holy places. And maybe he was in his late 40s when he came to Vrindavan. So in Vrindavan, he spent some time on the banks of the river Yamuna in the Vrindavan forest. So there are various places like Keshi Ghat, and there is Kalyada. These are various places on the banks of the Yamuna. So typically a holy person would simply stay under a tree or in a cave, or just under the sky. They would spend their time like that. One day he came to the glorious mountain called as Giri Govardhan. It is also called as Giriraj or just Govardhan. How many of you have heard of Govardhan? Why have you heard about Govardhan?
Supreme Lord lifted the mountain.
The Supreme Lord lifted the mountain? Yes. Why is it that you have heard about it?
Because
Well, he's lifted the mountain, so good for him.
it is one of the pastimes of the Lord.
Lifting up mountains. That's an interesting pastime. He's like going around lifting up mountains.
Because devotees sang it and it carried on like that. Everyone.
Oh, so just passed on from person. You know what? They said, what? Krishna lifted a mountain. Oh, great. So then they go to somebody else and they say, you know what? That's how it got passed down since generations. What is it about Giri Govardhan and his lifting the mountain that makes you remember just this aspect of Giri Govardhan?
Krishna protects his devotees.
Did you know why he lifted up the mountain?
Heavy rains.
Yeah. It's like one day Krishna thought that I have not been working out. And there's no gym nearby. So why not work out outdoors? It wasn't something like that, was it? No, it wasn't like that, isn't it? So, Krishna's father is a king of a very, very powerful community. That is called as the Gopa community. We translate it as the cowherd community. But since the past 500 years, the idea of cowherds is that they must be on the lower rungs of the financial strata of society. These were powerful kings. They were subservient to the king of the land. But they were immensely, immensely rich. Very rich. They did not have currency in the form of certain denominations, but what they had was assets. Tremendous assets. If the IT sector would have boomed 5,000 years ago, then they would have been, they would give some place for the companies to set up, and they would be minting money through lease. They had such assets. So Krishna was a prince, as his father was a king, right? The entire community was well-to-do. They were also very religious in nature. So one of the yearly festivals was where they would offer their gratitude to Indra. Who is Indradev?
King of rains.
Indradev is someone who decides what your taxes would be, how much finances you are going to earn. He's like the finance minister. Because in those days, rains would mean, it's like how they come up with the yearly financial budget. It's very important for any government. that how much money should be distributed in what sectors. Similarly, based on how Indra would distribute, or at least that is what they thought, that in whatever ways rainfall would benefit them, so they would be able to make their earnings. So Indra was a very, very important personality in the lives of this community. In the life of every community member, and Indradev was very important. So this particular year, when they were getting ready to do puja, Indra puja, Krishna, he had this idea, somehow or the other, because Krishna is the Supreme Lord, according to the Bhagavad Gita and a lot of the tradition of Sanatana Dharma. So Krishna he has got the facility to, tap into everyone. Just like today, government agencies can tap into your private lives. They can do that?
Yes.
Everything's on Wi-Fi, whatever you speak. Siri Devi is listening. Google Mata is listening to that. Isn't it?
Yes.
We offer our respects to these Devis. So if they want, they can actually, certain agencies, they can actually become privy to whatever you are doing every single moment. In today's world of technology, that's so very easy. For the ordinary citizen, those who are having a lot of power, they may have their own ways of staying dark, staying away from scrutiny. But the ordinary people would not be able to do that. Think of Krishna like somebody who can do that. He can tap into your thoughts. He can tap into your desires. Generally, he doesn't do that. Generally, he just keeps quiet. It's like he collects all the data and he says, okay, I'll analyze it when I want to analyze it. Alright? So it's Upadrashta Anumantacha. He's just Upadrashta. All data is being collected by him. And then when he feels that there has to be some reciprocation on his part, then he becomes Anumanta. Sanctioner. He sanctions. Where do I get this information from? Bhagavad Gita. Okay? So Krishna tapped into Indra's private life. And he decided that now there was a need for him to intervene. And the reason was, unaware to Indra, there was a cancer spreading in Indra's life. And Krishna could detect that. Indra was not aware of it. He became aware of it in a fortnight. In a fortnight, he was aware that, hey, I have a very virulent cancer, stage 4 metastasis. So Krishna likes Indra a lot. He's a dear friend. So does Indra. But sometimes Indra kind of behaves differently, occasionally. Otherwise, Indradev, he loves Krishna very much. So when Krishna saw that Indra was having this challenge in his life, a mortal disease. And what was the disease? The disease was of pride. Pride has a high mortality rate. Alright? You know what is pride? Sometimes it is called as false pride, ahankar. How many of you feel that you should be properly recognized for your contribution wherever you work? How many of you feel like that? Somebody doesn't feel like that, or the HR does not allow you to do it. What you need is your contributions to be recognized, right? There's a need that, hey, I'm contributing, so at least on some day during the year, give me a gift, recognize me, best employee of the year or something like that. It's helpful. But just imagine the CEO of the company feeling like that. I need recognition. So every day people have to come and say, "Hail CEO." That's dangerous, isn't it? Because the CEO has so much power, and when the CEO does that, and if the CEO is not satisfied, the CEO could hurt a lot of people. When we feel we need recognition, and maybe sometimes we may not get it, at the most we may be a little dejected and make some of our members of the family dejected, like, what is the use? Why did I study so much? Why did I work so much? So then they call up the Hare Krishna devotees, please talk to him. Please give him some counseling. Give him or her some counseling. So the Hare Krishna people come to him, and then they remind you, actually, you are not the controller. Krishna is the controller. Sometimes one has to go through the extremes of life to realize that. And you say, yes, where is my mala? Let me start chanting. Or something like that. Yes? How do you do that to the CEO of a company? You think I am not spiritual? How dare you? First of all, you did not give me recognition. Secondly, you are saying I am not spiritual. A powerful person, if they start feeling that the pride is being hurt, it could be dangerous. Isn't it? So pride is a mortal enemy for everyone. When one does not have sufficient resources, one can only hurt oneself. But if one has some kind of resources, then they can hurt other people. They can affect other people's lives. Therefore, pride is not just the mortal enemy of every individual. Pride is also the mortal enemy for human society at large. False pride, ahankar. So please be careful. Let the consciousness stay simple. Let us not run after the shadowy pleasures being offered by ahankar or false pride. Okay? For example, I may be standing in front of you and you may be giving me a lot of accolades. You may be telling, glorifying me. And I may feel that I'm the king. Like I'm great. But right behind me, there could be hundreds of people criticizing me, and I may not be aware of it because all I can see is those who are in front of me. That is my limitation. And with that limitation, I think I am the king of the world. Yes, senses are very limited. So we have to be very aware of who we are, where we stand, and we have to be generous enough in understanding that humility is the best policy. Not unnecessary humility. Genuine humility is the best policy. Yeah? Imagine there's a red light and you say, I don't care. You break the, what is it called? You break? Or you break the red light? No, is that what it is said?
Run.
You run the red light? Run through the red light. You run through the red light, you will have 6-7 cop cars behind you. On the other hand, you are ultra humble. How can I go ahead first? Let everyone who's behind me go ahead first. And stop there even when the light turns green. You'll again have 6-7 cop cars around you. Alright? So genuine humility is follow the law. Follow the norms. That is genuine humility, isn't it? Okay. So humility is a very good policy to be adopted. And false pride is a mortal enemy. Indra, at that moment, according to Krishna could detect it. That this cancer was spreading throughout Indra's consciousness. So just to let Indra know that he is being challenged by this enemy, Krishna convinced everyone not to do Indra Puja. He convinced everyone not to do Indra Puja. It is like you are arranging an event for your manager or the top boss, and then everyone comes together and says we are boycotting. Can you imagine what would happen? So Indra, what did he do? He sent down rains, torrential rains. Destruction. Right? He is like, everyone is laid off. You will not get your, what does the company give you? Bonuses? No. Severances. You will not get your severance package. You won't get that. Plus no good recommendations. I mean, that's terrible, isn't it? So that is what Indra was trying to do. So the way that Indra could do it was send down torrential rains. 7 days and 7 nights, Krishna stood up with the mountain as an umbrella. Oh, before that, before Indra could send off the rains, send the rains, Krishna told the cowherd community, but we have to worship someone, so let us worship the hill. It's like you arrange a party for the top boss and you boycott the party and arrange another party for Barbie the doll. And everyone's like, go Barbie, Barbie is a leader, Barbie is to be worshipped. Worship the mountain, Giriraj. So Indra became very, very concerned. He sent down those rains, 7 days, 7 nights, killed Krishna, held up the hill. So that is Giri Govardhan. After that, Indra realized 7 days, 7 nights of these devastating floods that have sent. Nothing would survive. Here, everything is surviving. For a moment, Indra was concerned whether I am living in the real world or the virtual world. He's like, do I have those, what is it called as?
Oculus.
VR
goggles or Oculus.
Oculus. So Indra was wondering, where are my Oculus goggles? Nothing is happening in Vrindavan. Vrindavan is safe. People are safe. Everything is safe. So then Indra realizes that this is my Supreme Lord. He understands that. So he comes and seeks treatment from Krishna. So Krishna gives him a very strong dose antidote. Indra's cancer is cured. So that is Giri Govardhan, right?
Yes.
So now Madhavendra Puri has come to Giri Govardhan. Now, in today's times, the entire mountain, its circumference is about roughly between 22 to 24 kilometers, the circumference of the mountain. So in those times also it was roughly around that. And somehow or the other, these devotional people, they have weird ideas in their heads. If they want to go from here to the temple, they'll go by car. But when they go to Giri Govardhan, they'll walk 24 kilometers, the entire circumference, and they'll call it parikrama. So, people do weird things, devotees do these weird things. Because they believe this is non-different from Krishna. So parikrama is very important for devotees. Because devotees are intelligent. They have a 360-degree view of everything. So they say, this is non-different from Krishna. So Krishna is supremely powerful, energetic. So if I go all around the mountain, I will get all of its energy. So parikrama means you receive energy from all directions. That is why you do parikrama. Let's suppose they're distributing food from a van and they are open on all sides. And if you're really, really wanting to hoard up, you'll go in this direction and then you see that people, then you go in another direction and you take it from there, then you go from behind and you take it, then from the opposite. So that is parikrama basically. You like the idea of parikrama now?
Yes.
Yeah, you should. It's free. Getting so much of potency, it's free. So he did the parikrama on that day. And then he came to a place called as Govindakund. A lake. This lake was formed by the celestial waters brought in by Airavat and other elephants. So that Indra could do Abhishek of Krishna. So all of that water, it accumulated in a kunda, a pond. And that is called as Govindakund. So that night he was taking rest on Govindakund. Very happy, chanting Hare Krishna. Taking rest does not mean he was sleeping, he was chanting Hare Krishna. Or that evening. So it was late afternoon, early evening. A young boy comes up to him. And he brings a pot of milk. Beautiful boy. He offers him the pot of milk. He says, why don't you ask for food? You should ask. In my village, people come and ask for food. Do you know it is called as madhukari? Just as a honey bee goes to each flower and says, ma'am, can I have some nectar? And then the flower says, yes, please. It happens in animations, right? Mm-hmm. The flower goes, do you really want my nectar? And the bee says, yes, please. So animation. Okay? So madhu is a bee and the activity of a bee is called as madhukari. So going to different houses, okay, and asking them, please can I have something for my sustenance? And they offer you in charity. So madhukari. So in my village people do that. And if somebody does not want, they don't eat grains, then they beg milk in charity. You do neither. This is not good. She was practically chastising him. A little boy, like 6-7 years old. And Madhavendra Puri was silent because his vow was that he would not ask anyone for food. If Krishna wanted him to have food, then somebody on their own, if they offer, he would accept it. If no one offers, then he would simply subsist on chanting Hare Krishna. We do just the opposite, right? There is some similarity. Food and chanting. So, anyways, there's no need to, go that route. Eat nice prasad. Intermittently chant in between your having prasad. That's all right. Visit your doctor regularly, so that they let you know if something is going wrong. Then you reduce your prasad. Or take care of what you eat. So that was his vow. So he kept quiet. So then he said that in my village no one goes hungry. So please drink this milk. Some of the ladies who come for herding cows, they have seen you and they see that you are not eating anything. And in our village, if any visitor is here and they go hungry, then we feel that it is a bad omen for us. Therefore, we take care of any visitors. So I brought a pot of milk for you. You can drink it in your own time. I have to rush now. My cows are at a distance. I have to go and herd them. Towards the later part of the evening, I'll come back and collect the pot from you. And off goes the boy before Madhavendra Puri could say anything. And Madhavendra Puri is left with this pot of milk and he's like, what just happened? Because he's an adult, right? This is what adults do. They ask questions like, what happened? A child never asks questions. A child is like, whatever happened is good. Have milk here. What happened? But then he could not resist the milk. So he drank the milk. And when he drank the milk, he felt some kind of transcendental happiness out of the world. So he'd never done that since ages. He was licking every single drop from that pot. Like that. Is there any more drops? And then he washed the pot and he kept it to be returned to the boy. The boy never came back. So that concerned him. So he's thinking about the boy. The features of the boy would not just go away from his memory. And he was constantly chanting the holy names. So right through the night, this is what he was doing. He was wondering who the boy is. And whenever he became aware of his beats, then he would start chanting. So either he was chanting or he was wondering about the boy, thinking about the boy's features. Towards early part of the morning, just before dawn, he fell asleep, which he had never done in the past 40 years. He had never fallen asleep in the early hours of the morning. This time he fell asleep. And in the sleep, the boy appeared in a dream and said, I've been waiting you since ever. Do you know that I've been lying here in the bushes, just close from where you're staying? Please remove me from those bushes and establish my worship, and I'll be very happy with you. So he wakes up, and the first thing that he does is cry tears. Do you know why he was crying tears? Krishna appeared, I never recognized him. He offered me milk. I could not realize that this is Krishna, he is taking care of me. I'm so unfortunate. And after a few minutes of being melancholic, being, feeling, considering his misfortune, he immediately realized that Krishna wants him to serve. He's like, you foolish person. You're wasting your time thinking about, you lost an opportunity to realize Krishna when Krishna wants you to serve. Krishna has told you that he's there in the bushes, pick him out. Bring him out, pick him up from there. So he goes to those bushes. It's a huge thicket. It's like a small mini forest. He's like, how do I even get in there? Now if you've been to Vrindavan, you'll know what a forest is. Typically in Vrindavan, a forest is a forest full of thorny trees. So that if you ever go to Vrindavan, please have good footwear. And don't try to be a big time explorer there without a guide. Alright? Because then after that you may decide never again to come back to Vrindavan. Oh, there are so many thorns, So it's helpful to always have a guide, at least the first few visits. What do you think? Is that a good idea?
Yes.
Yeah? What is a good idea? Going to Vrindavan?
Yes.
So anyone wants to sign up? Maybe in the next 6 months, come to Vrindavan. Yeah? Please sign up, people. Let us know. Just maybe a day's journey away. That's it. From here, fly to Delhi. direct flight. 14 hours, you're 15 hours at the most, you're in Delhi.
3 more hours.
Then take the road, travel by road, and there you're in Vrindavan. See, less than 24 hours. Boy, sometimes from one end of the Bay Area to the other end of the Bay Area, it takes you a day in the traffic. You start off being caught in the morning traffic and you end up being caught in the evening traffic. Fly to Vrindavan. That's a nice tagline. Hashtag fly to Vrindavan. Anyways, so he realized that he was helpless by himself, so he called out for help. The local people. Govind Kund is situated in a little town known as, some distance away, on the outskirts of a town known as Anior. That's a different story. Anior town. So the local residents of this town, they heard him calling out to them. So they came and they said, yes, sir, Babaji, what is it? He told them the entire story. They believed him. Because you're speaking about 700 years ago. Right? There's no internet. You don't receive news even from the next village for like half a year. You're not even aware. After the monsoons, they come. Oh, we had a good harvest. They're like, you had a good harvest? Okay. That's how news would travel from one village to the other. 700 years ago. Unless and until their bull comes into your village or something like that. And somebody comes after the bull. People were self-contained. If somebody would decide to travel, there was like, okay, before you travel, let us do your Anteshti, your final rites. Because we are not sure if you'll come back. Come back means when you go out, when you travel, because you travel by foot, it takes you a lot of time to travel. So, you trust people. You trust people. When somebody gives you an idea, you have a little more trust. Because it's something different that can be done using the resources that you have. So, what did they need? For example, let's suppose you have a car breakdown in a village here, some remote place. Typically, the community would be wanting to help you. You have a car breakdown here on I-5? And you have to call AAA and wait. Even if you ask somebody passing by, or you have to call 100, I guess.
911.
Oh, 911. 100 is in India. 911. Isn't it? But if it is in a let's say, small town, then everyone is interested in you. What happened? Oh, your car broke down. Let me have a look. And suddenly they'll realize that, oh, doesn't matter. I'll take you. You can, we can pull your car into the town and we'll take it to the garage or something. They're ready to help. They trust. Why do they trust? They don't have much assets that they can lose. And secondly, they're like any visitor. What can we gain from that visitor? Nothing much, because we don't have much needs. So the villagers trusted Madhavendra Puri. They all came with their spades and their choppers to cut trees. We have those choppers, cleavers, right? So they came with that and they cut down that thicket. And there they found the deity. Krishna, when he appeared in the dream, he said that, I am Gopal, I was established by Vajranabh, the great grandson of Krishna, and I was worshipped on Govardhan Hill, but one day there was news that some dacoits are coming or some invaders are coming, and these invaders, they hurt people and they destroy deities. So my pujari, the person who is to take care of me, became afraid for his own life and for my well-being. So he took me from the temple and hid me in the bushes, and he prayed unto me that, my dear Lord, please stay safely here and I will come back when everything is all right. But he never came back. Something happened to him. He could not come back. So the Lord was there, the deity was there since a long time. So when they found the deity, it took about 4 to 6 really sturdy men to lift the deity. The deity, that form of the Lord, was so very heavy. And they carried the deity to the top of Govardhan hill. They found a very flat, huge rock on which they could make the deity stand. Then they put a rock behind the deity to support the deity. Then they offered a lot of abhishek to the deity. Govind Kund waters were brought. Then sufficient milk was there, yogurt was there, and they had a nice festival. And then Madhavendra Puri, he asked the Brahmana community, the local priestly community, could somebody help me take care of the deity? Because if the deity is there, then there is certain protocol to be followed. At regular intervals, you have to offer services. So a couple of people, they volunteered. Madhavendra Puri gave them the charge of the worship, and he would sit there at Govardhan. He would stay there, and he would be very happy every day to come and have the darshan of the deity and chanting Hare Krishna. A few months passed. It was peak time summer in India. So one day the deity again appeared in Madhavendra Puri's dream. Since the time I was put in those thicket, those bushes, since then, because I felt so suffocated and was so congested, and there's hardly any ventilation, so much of the heat of that place is still within me. I don't feel relieved from the heat that has accumulated over days and years of me being there, and it is peak time summer too. So I have heard that there is a treatment to cure such hot flushes. The treatment is that you have to cover your entire body with sandalwood pulp. And the best sandalwood pulp is available in the Malayan mountains. Now the Malayan mountains are towards the eastern part of India. Vrindavan is towards the western part of India. And from the eastern part of India to the western part of India is at least 3 to 4 time zones. How many? At least 3, if not 4 time zones. So Gopal says, why don't you go there and bring me some sandalwood? Really high maintenance deity. I mean, that is how we think about it. Madhavendra Puri is like, sure. He's like, I'm such a lazy bum. Krishna is so kind. He's wanting me to stay healthy. Otherwise, I'll have to go to the hospital, do some exercise. Krishna is wanting me to be healthy. So he wants me to walk all the way across 4 time zones and come back with sandalwood. Now going to the eastern part of the country it's dangerous because first of all, mountains, hills, valleys, desert, forests, mosquitoes, the heat, the rain, the dust, allergies, diseases, towns, villages, cities, rivers, lakes, thieves, rogues, all of that lie between the western hemisphere and the eastern hemisphere. But they will not tell you that in the story. You have to figure it out. And because all of you are in Silicon Valley, I think you will figure it out. But this is all that you have to face. And most importantly, no GPS. So you have to just rely on the celestial bodies. The sun, the shadows, the moon, the shadows, stars. Madhavendra Puri must have been really well read and brilliant, don't you think so? Just think about it. With such brilliance, he could have had such a nice career. He became a sannyasi. My God. Waste of talent, I guess. But then, if others may feel it's a waste of talent, however, what others feel is important, not as important as what choices you make. So if someone makes a choice that, hey, I'm happy as a sannyasi, well, good for him. Why should anyone else judge them? Just as a sannyasi should not be judging others like, why are they involved with all of these worldly activities? Isn't it? It's not helpful being judgmental unless that is a responsibility. True?
Yes.
If a person is really selfish, they would not waste their valuable time judging others. Yeah? Makes sense? Okay. See thoughtful dynamism, how dynamic thoughtfulness is. So Madhavendra Puri walks across. Now he has to go all the way across, right? So when you go all the way across, you reach there, and when you come back with a lot of valuable material. Can you imagine the danger multiplied 10 times now?
Yeah.
Sandalwood was very, very expensive even in those times as it is expensive today. Right?
Yes.
Have you ever heard of smuggling of, let's say, pollen grains? Pollen? Smuggling of regular dirt? Smuggling of twigs? But do we hear of smuggling of sandalwood?
Yes.
Even today? Because it's very valuable. It was as valuable even 700 years ago. And this is a poor sannyasi. At the most, he has a sannyas danda, nothing else. No claws, no sharp teeth. And he is going to travel with a lot of sandalwood. There could not have been a better crazy idea than this. It was the stupidest thing that anyone could have come up with. That is what the regular thoughtful person would think. But someone who's dedicated their life to Krishna, they're like, what do I care? The person who has sent me will also make arrangements to bring me back. Isn't it? Just as an ordinary citizen of the kingdom may not have the ability to be safe when traveling. But when that citizen becomes the emissary of the king, it becomes the king's business to take care of that citizen. To take him along and bring him back. And Krishna is the supreme master, the supreme king. There has to be sufficient investment of trust to access this protection given by Krishna. It cannot be just a momentary feeling of some emotional attachment to Krishna. It cannot be that. That doesn't purchase it. One has to really invest one's trust in Krishna to be able to access this protection given by Krishna. Ordinary protection is, see, you can get basic insurance with limited assets, with limited amount of money. But if you really want, what kind of coverage is that?
Umbrella.
Yeah, umbrella coverage. Like
Coverage.
total coverage, you have to shell out a lot of money. Is that true?
Yes.
So basic protection from Krishna is there. You need food, Krishna will give you food. You need air to breathe, Krishna will give you air to breathe. However, if you need total protection from Krishna, then the investment of one's trust has to be there. My dear Krishna, my choice is to trust you. Even if my brain tells me it is not a good idea. Even if my intelligence tells me it is not a good idea, trust is something that goes beyond intelligence. It's not that you give up your intelligence. Trust is not where you give up your intelligence. Trust is that which goes beyond the intelligence. So use all of your intellectual facilities, all of your discrimination faculties, and where that ends and you're not sure what to do, that is where trust takes you further. Is that true? I'm already a little late. It's 50 minutes to my destination. I am catching the train. The train is 20 minutes late. With all of my calculations, I feel that I'm going to not be on time. But I'll trust the fact that maybe the train will make up for the lost time. Do people put trust like that? Do we put trust like that? Yeah. What is your intellect telling you? It's not possible. What does trust do? Take a chance. Yeah? So investment of trust. You have to be very dynamic. As a human being, one has to be constantly evaluating one's options and navigating always. Typically, people think that spirituality means static. It means do this, and you'll get the. It's like, you put in that coin and this product will fall. That is a very rudimentary understanding of spirituality. It's an entire realm. The kind of maneuvers that you do in day-to-day life, similar maneuvers is also possible in spiritual existence. So imagine the variety of options that may be available to you. Yeah? It's like going to a temple, spiritual place, prasadam, 5 sweets, 20 savories, there's samosa, there's vada, there is pasta, there is... I'm speaking of those days, those special days. Oh, Janmashtami, everyone is bringing nice bhoga. So, after 24 hours fast, you feast on all of that first with your eyes. What all has come? So many options available. But what is a static understanding? Yeah, at the end of the day, we'll have prasad. That is a limited understanding. But when you're exposed to it, then you realize, how can I maneuver through all of that before somebody else? Isn't it? So you tell your friend, hey, take that rasgulla also. And you tell another friend, you take that samosa from there. I'm taking the pizza from here. Isn't it dynamic? Yeah? But you have to be thoughtful. You have sufficient friends already trained. You have to have your army there because, everyone else is going to come with their army. Right? So Madhavendra Puri goes across. He meets the king there. Brings a sandalwood. On the way to the eastern part of the country, he comes to a beautiful place where there is a deity of the name Gopinath, which had been carved by Lord Ramchandra himself. Mother Sita wanted to know, I've heard a lot about your beautiful form in Dwapar Yuga. Can you just reveal that form to me? He said, don't worry, here. He carved out and said, this is how I look. Gopinath. She fell in love with him. Lord Ramchandra is like, you fell in love with him? Gopinath. He said, my dear Lord, it's you. If I don't fall in love with him, then there will be a problem. This is you, yourself playing the flute. So Gopinath plays the flute. So he came to that place. Everyone told him, oh, tonight Gopinath will be having nice kheer. It is called Amrit Keli. So he asked them, what is Amrit Keli? They told him the ingredients and how they prepare that. And at that very moment, the sweet rice, the Amrit Keli was being offered to the deity. So when you make an offering to the deity, you have to keep you have to follow a lot of rules about purity, especially being pure in thought. External purity and internal purity, because when you make that offering, right? For example, as an adult, when you want to gift something to your dad, let's say an iPhone, then you should not be thinking that, hey, when he doesn't use it, I'll use it. A child does that. When a child makes an offering of a cake to dad, he's like, here, and he says, just eat a little bit, this is for me. So a child does that, right? An adult doesn't do that. So an adult has to be careful about maintaining internal purity. And that comes from feeling very grateful. So when we make an offering to the Lord, we are so grateful that the Lord has provided everything for us, that out of sheer gratitude, we just make the offering with mental purity. This is for you, my dear Lord. So when they were making that Amrit Keli offering, and Madhavendra Puri was hearing about all the ingredients, at that very moment a thought entered his mind. He's like, if I could taste some of that Amrit Keli, then I would prepare a similar dish for Gopal in Vrindavan. And as soon as the thought was over, he started feeling very, very guilty. The Lord has not even tasted the Amrita Keli, and I'm already thinking about eating it. So he immediately left the place. At night, Gopinathji stole some sweet rice. So 12 pots of sweet rice would be kept in before Gopinath for offering. Then a curtain would be pulled, and after 10 minutes, the pujari would go inside the behind the curtain and pick up the offerings and bring out as prasad. Because Krishna has a very strange way of eating. He eats with his eyes. Don't ask me how. I have seen patients not eat through their mouth, eat through their throat. You ask me how, I'll tell you. Some of them eat through their stomach, because we have to put in tubes like that. If they're not able to, if there's some cancer of the throat, cancer of the mouth, we have to find alternate ways of feeding them, because the best machine that can digest food is the stomach. So we have to find a way. Or when I say we, because somebody mentioned, right? I did my MBBS, which basically means that I was trained as a doctor. So we had lots of fun doing that, because patients, they are freely available for us. They just come by the dozen like, hey doc, I have mouth cancer. And I'm like, yeah, come in. We'll chop off your mouth. I mean, so much of awareness program we do, but no one listens. No one listens. Every day we have enough patients to have fun like that. Every day in the surgical ward. At least in the hospital where I was trained up. Which is an unfortunate situation, right? Like, you tell them, you make them aware that you should not be eating certain things, and they're like, yeah, we'll not eat it. As they're eating it, they're saying that. Just as when we are told that when you're chanting Hare Krishna, you should not be thinking of anything else, we'll definitely think of everything else while we are chanting. Same disease, right? It doesn't, and then we are going to have fun, counseling all of you. हमारा दुकान चलते रहेगा. सुधर जाओ. Be a better version of yourself. Always. Is that a good hashtag? Hashtag better version of myself every moment. Good hashtag to trend. So he felt very guilty. Now what Gopinath did was, when the pujari had put the 12 pots there and he had gone out, Gopinath swiped one pot and kept it behind himself. At night, he knocked into the pujari's dream. Knock, knock. My dear Lord, you have appeared in my dream. I'm so lucky. This is the first time you have appeared in my dream. And he said, Stop. I have some kheer, I stole it, give it to Madhavpuri. He's like, who's Madhavpuri? He said, you don't know Madhavpuri? No, my lord, I know. So the Pujari, next morning, he wakes up, goes outside, oh Madhavpuri, wherever you are, please come, Gopinath has stolen sweet rice for you and he asked me to give it to you. So some people who had gotten acquainted with him the previous day, they said, oh, he's on the outskirts of the village under a tree. So he goes up to him, wakes him up, tells him, this is for you. Madhavendra Puri becomes so happy and grateful. My lord stole this for me. He said, you are so fortunate. The Pujari said that Gopinath personally stole this for you. And from today onwards, we are going to call him Khira Chora Gopinath. The thief who steals sweet rice. So Krishna became a thief again. So if you go to Odisha, in Remuna, you'll have that deity. Beautiful deity. And you can eat the Amrit Keli Prasad also. So anyways, he immediately tasted that prasad and he had tears of gratitude as he was having it. And after he had eaten it, he broke the pot into little pieces because there were remnants in the pot, thinking that every day if I eat a small, remnant, the taste will linger in my mouth. So he kind of made calculations, so many days, so many fragments, and he stored it in his dhoti, and every day he would eat. So then he goes to the eastern part, he goes to Jagannath Puri, there he gets the Malayans, sandalwood, some camphor. The king now gives him, because the news has travelled. Madhavendra Puri did not stay anymore. He looked at his watch. It's just been 15 minutes since he's eaten that. He says, run! It's like Madhavendra Puri was shooting a reel, short reel of himself. Like, run! Dun, 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 dun. So he started running. Because he was running away from fame. He knew that very soon the villagers are asleep as yet. But as soon as they wake up, the news is going to spread like wildfire and everyone is going to come and, offer respects to him. He said, I'm not. This is Gopinath's doing. It's not me. So he ran away from there. And then Gopinath did something else. He made his fame run faster than him. So Madhavendra Puri was running away from fame towards the eastern quarters of India. And Krishna, he told fame, ran faster than Madhavendra Puri to the eastern quarters of India. So by the time Madhavendra Puri reached Jagannath Puri in the eastern part of India, his fame had already reached there. So as soon as he came in, people are like, go Madhavendra Puri, go Madhavendra Puri, Madhavendra Puri ki jai. What's happening? The king personally welcomed him. He said, how can I serve you? He said, well, I came for some sandalwood. Some sandalwood? Take all the sandalwood. He arranged for 4 bullock carts of sandalwood. And then each cart, he had 6 to 8 soldiers guarding it. He arranged for all of the tax papers, that because it's going to pass through various regions, right? So federal tax paid, no dues, and 0 income tax. So no liabilities. So Madhavendra Puri is travelling back. And he again has to pass through Remuna. So that night he stays there and has wonderful darshan of Gopinath ji and he's chanting Hare Krishna. And then again towards the second time this is happening in his life, towards the early part of the morning, right before dawn, he falls asleep. And who appears in his dream? The same. He's kind of become habituated to appear in his dream. Gopal appears in his dream and he says, actually, you know what? I and Gopinath are non-different. So why don't you use all the sandalwood for Gopinath? And when you put the sandalwood pulp on Gopinath, the coolness that he feels would be felt by me too. And Madhavendra Puri is like, what? How will the people of Vrindavan know that this is what I have done? They have to know that I got sandalwood from all the way from Jagannath Puri to Vrindavan. My glories. That has to spread. But no, that is not Madhavendra Puri, that is us. Mountainview Puri is like, if that is what you want, that is what I'll do. So you look at the dynamics of thoughtfulness is not about just what you do, but it is also about what you do not do. So he stayed there in Gopinath, in Ramona, and he used up all of the sandalwood for Gopinathji. And every day that the sandalwood pulp would be used in service of Gopinath, he would feel that Gopalji is feeling very, very happy. So this is a story from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's a beautiful story. It's a historical narrative. It did happen in history. Very famous in certain communities. The story is like very much revered, especially the Gaudiya Vaishnava community. ISKCON is a member of the Gaudiya Vaishnava community. It helps us understand how wonderful spiritual life is. It's not about just dull meditation. It's not about always feeling secure in life or always feeling insecure in life. It's about how, in whatever circumstances, in whichever situations one is, if one has developed the keen vision of detecting opportunities, then the goddess of success is waiting right there to coronate us, to make us victors. Therefore, please use your intellect in very, very fine ways. Understand how opportunities come, and understand if used, they can benedict you, and if you overlook them, if you miss them, then you lose out. And opportunities never stop coming. Eternally we receive opportunities to serve. And therefore, a thoughtful person is always energetic, is always lively. This is the inner dynamics of meditation. Externally, one is very, very peaceful. Internally, one is very, very active. Externally, one may be completely cut off from circumstances. Internally, one is very, very connected to the opportunities available in various circumstances. And this is achieved by the practice of sadhana. Because what is sadhana? In Krishna consciousness, you see this picture there, this is Srila Prabhupada. He is one of our finest teachers. A brilliant gentleman, a saintly personality, much revered personality, but brilliant gentleman. He understood this technique, and he said, simply use your tongue to chant Hare Krishna and hear the sound of the holy name. So when you chant, that's an external process. When you hear, that is internal meditation. Typically, we go into meditation externally, and internally, we are lost. How do we go into meditation? Externally, we are not aware of the tongue vibrating. Sometimes there is a slur, sometimes it is unclear, sometimes it is mechanical. So externally we have to be aware of the dynamics of the tongue vibrating. And the ear has to do internal meditation by hearing the sound. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you very much, Hare Krishna. Any questions or comments?
like yesterday, the point that you made, we have to invest our trust in Krishna to access Krishna's full protection. It's like a very, like sometimes we expect Krishna to help us without really believing. Like yesterday we talked about belief, right? How much we believe. It's a similar thing. Right? I mean, they are re-emphasizing the point again what you made yesterday.
Thank you.
One question was asked in the form, the RSVP form, and it is in line with what you are mentioning, that like in case of Mountainview, he was one-pointed attention was there when he was reaching the Remuna, and then trying to get the sandalwood, and we also understand that maybe during the office time. We are doing our work, or during the chanting time we are chanting, but somehow, or maybe in the time of reading, basically any spiritual activity or material activity, but somehow or the other there are so many distractions in the sense of just mobile, some messages coming, responding to the messages, and then we just forget, we just get so much, let's say YouTube, we just get so much dragged by it that we completely forget that what we are actually doing. It could be of it. So the question that was asked is how to remain focused in our goal, and sort of try to, as much as possible, avoid any kind of distractions which are coming our way.
Many times we fail to see our own naivety, how naive we are. Madhavendra Puri was having a nice time chanting Krishna's name at Govind Kund. Krishna comes and offers him a distraction. I'm here, pick me up. So he sees that as an opportunity to serve Krishna. He's like, there's a bush and thorns. These are all distractions. He could have simply gone back to Govind Kund and sit there and chant. Then he has to arrange for Krishna's worship. Then everything is going on well, he's again sitting down, Govind Kund chanting. Sitting down at Govind Kund and he's chanting. Again Krishna appears in a dream and says, I'm feeling very hot. And he says, I don't want local chandan. I want the chandan, I want the sandalwood from right across the country. Another distraction. So we are naive enough to think that, oh, this is all actually Krishna consciousness. Because that is why I said, if you do not understand the dynamism in spiritual life, then everything we try to color it in one color. Oh, after all, it's service only, no? It's not same kind of service. It's not what Madhavendra Puri is used to. He's used to being a sannyasi, just being by himself, not wondering about, okay, tomorrow I have to get sandalwood from somewhere. Suddenly Krishna tells him, bring sandalwood. Suddenly Krishna tells him, you have to remove me from this place. Madhavendra Puri never would interfere in any activity. He would never was not very much concerned about any activity like that. He was not from the archaeological survey going about looking for lost deities. Suddenly Krishna tells him, no, this one you have to, find me. So Madhavendra Puri applies to the ASI, Archaeological Survey of India, tells him, hey, this is what I need. So he looks at all of this as opportunities to serve. So if you can use YouTube to serve, very good. Use it. If you can use some other distractions to serve Krishna, perfectly all right. However, just because they are distractions and we have not trained ourselves to see the opportunity to see an opportunity there to serve, then that is a shortcoming on our part. So what can be done for us to realize that? Scriptural readings has to be done in a very, very thoughtful manner. If we only take scriptures to try and understand abstract superlative ideas, that I'll cry for Krishna, or I'll be a resident of Vrindavan or something like that. Maybe right now they are very abstract ideas for us. Because most probably Vrindavan would be for us something like that, some picture that we have seen. Now, what is Vrindavan? Oh, there was such a nice painting made by a devotee. It looked just like original Vrindavan. How do I know? But there I have accepted that as original Vrindavan. So the abstract idea of what Vrindavan is, I've tried to somehow or the other superimpose this pictorial form onto that abstract idea, and I'm thinking that this is it. The more we try to do that, the more we are trying to live in our own world of how Vrindavan should be or how spiritual life should be. So scriptures, when we read, or instructions, scriptural instructions, when we go through them, you have to try and analyze them in such a way that we take away some messages that can be assimilated in our lives at least for the next 15 days to a year. Therefore, you'll find in, especially the Puranas, you'll find that anyone who reads this chapter for an entire month of Bhadra will get this benefit. Anyone who hears of this pastime for 100 times will get this benefit. What is the idea? The idea is that you do it constantly. Because when you do it constantly, you are investing your time and energy in that activity. And when you invest your time and energy in an activity, you really want to have the product. You really want to have that goal. So how do we, train ourselves to not be distracted? Is by applying graded instructions regularly in our life and assimilating that lifestyle, changing our lifestyle accordingly, assimilating those instructions. So in the beginning it was like, okay, start 1 round, then do 4 rounds. After 16 rounds it's like, okay, done, static. You read the Bhagavad Gita, you did it once, you do, or you come every week for a program. For 20 years you're doing the same thing. It's like, oh, today's program, all right. Actually, the lecture starts after Kirtan, So we can go by the time the lecture starts. After a few days, it is like few weeks. There's 10 more minutes before the lecture ends. Let's go there now. At least we'll hear something. We'll be purified a little bit. Now, what can be done if that is how we approach spiritual life? It's like, when I made that statement, that harsh statement that we would have the fun of surgery. It's a harsh statement. It is a humorous way of saying that people don't really care for their own health. And the medical practitioner notices that. So similarly, it seems that sometimes we don't really care about our own spiritual practices. As I said, the counselor, the shop is always open. You always, Prabhuji, Mataji, for 25 years, every single time, you have really helped me through my life. 25 years if you need help, please think about the next generation. It's like we using up all the resources of our planet, and even beyond what we need, we're taking up the resources of the next 2 generations also. If 25 years we are still like, I think for the next 15 years also, we are sure that you are going to counsel us. 3 to 4 generations are waiting for one of us to help them out. So when are we going to, develop our own capabilities? Shouldn't we be doing that? So just an idea of how we have to be responsible to the next generation as just instruments is important. And secondly, we have to have some strategy to make some graded progress. What is the word? Oh yeah, please help me out. That which you know is good for you. What is that called as? That kind of realization.
Conducive?
No. There's a word for it. I'm sorry. The idea is that we have to progress. It has to be gradual in the sense that which we can assimilate, and it has to be worthwhile. Right? Maybe the word is worthy progress.
Noble?
No. The idea is that which actually matters to you, which is needed for you, that kind of progress. There's some word, it's not beneficial maybe. Substantial. Thank you. Substantial. That's the word I'm looking for. It has to be graded substantial progress. Thank you so much. Is that word really meaningful? Substantial? More than beneficial, more than worthy? Substantial progress. Yeah? We'll stop. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.